Here's more wrestling news for April 27th, 2022. And your headlines for today include Tony Khan called out for not acting like a boss after apologizing for botched AEW Dynamite segment. Vice has not picked up Dark Side of the Ring Season 4. Killer Kross locks down his ring name. Finn Balor's recent title loss blamed on Backstage WWE politics. WWE's original plan for Mustafa Ali's Raw return. Deonna Purrazzo drags fan who sent mail to her personal address. Randy Orton needed convincing to spit on Mick Foley. Danhausen makes in-ring return at Non-AEW event. He doesn't fire up the people at all. Jim Cornette on why popular AEW star won't be a top guy in pro wrestling. Sunny falsely claims she owned car involved in fatal crash, and more. We're starting off with Satnam Singh, whose debut in AEW didn't exactly go as the company had hoped. With the lights turning off during the title celebration of ROH TV champion Samoa Joe, many fans thought they were going to see a big shock debut rather than a wrestler they'd never seen before who spoiled Joe's big win. In later interviews, Tony Khan distanced himself from the segment, saying it was someone else's idea to have the lights turn off and on, but has said that he does wish he could rebook the segment. On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T laid into Khan, saying that he's not acting like a boss for apologizing for what he presented. I totally looked at that as a move that did not make him look like a boss. I'm going to say it like that because I don't want to say anything negative or anything other than I don't think we have to defend anything that we do on television to the internet fan base. If Tony Khan feels like he made a mistake and he has to defend it by going on air and saying, "Hey guys, I made a mistake and I'm going to do it differently next time," you're just falling into a trap. The fans, they do want to hijack the show. They do want to book it. Given that Khan isn't known to take criticism well, having him apologize for the segment is probably the best fans could expect, but as far as Booker T is concerned, the AEW president caved in. Now, Vice TV's Dark Side of the Ring has given viewers a unique look at the underbelly of pro wrestling, covering topics you'd never see get a focus on WWE TV. From the Chris Benoit double murder-suicide to the Owen Hart tragedy, Dark Side of the Ring has covered plenty of dark subjects, but it appears that the show is finished. Season 3 wrapped up covering the WWE steroid trial from the 1990s, but between careers being derailed because of the show and Jim Ross calling out the editing, it's unlikely we'll see a fourth season. When a fan asked Dave Meltzer about the show, he replied saying that he's not heard anything about a fourth season and that ratings were down for Season 3. Meltzer also suggested that the departure of JR, who said he won't appear on any more episodes, could be the start of several names pulling out, fearing how they will be made to look on a potential fourth season. While there's no shortage of dark moments from wrestling worth covering, that doesn't guarantee a fourth season, and it's up to Vice as to whether another series of episodes will be greenlit. In 2021, Karrion Kross was released from WWE after an impressive run in NXT and underwhelming tenure on the main roster. Now Kross is going back to the name he made famous before signing, as he has filed a trademark for the name Killer Kross. Kross, who married his partner Scarlett Bordeaux earlier this month, has teased an upcoming project, and now that he's Killer Kross once more, we're sure there's plenty of promotions who'd be willing to work with the former two-time NXT champion. Last week, Finn Balor lost the United States Championship to Theory in the latest setback for the Irish superstar. After a dominant return to NXT, Balor returned to the main roster last year, but has spent much of his time losing matches and feuds to better-booked talent. During the latest Legion of Raw, Vince Russo discussed Balor's loss and believes that factors behind the scenes cost Finn the title. Again, there's politics behind the scene that Balor loses. We don't know what they are, we probably will never know, no doubt about it, that's part of the influence, you know. Can you imagine a manager, a baseball player, or a football coach, Ohio State football coach, you fumble, you make a mistake, you do something wrong, and you ride the bench the rest of the season? Can you imagine a baseball player strikes out and, wow, okay bro, you're riding the bench for the rest of the year, you struck out. You really cannot say the wrong thing in WWE, and you can't do the wrong thing, you can't look at somebody funny, it's literally like walking on eggshells. After losing the title to Theory, Balor's pre-WWE name Prince Devitt trended on social media as fans called on him to leave the promotion, and if this alleged backstage politics continues, that may be exactly what the former US champion does. On this week's Monday Night Raw, Mustafa Ali returned to WWE TV in his first appearance since October 2021. It was in January that Ali requested his release from WWE, which was denied by Vince McMahon, leading to a loud argument between the two backstage. We now know more about his return that happened this week, as according to Fightful Select, the original plan was for Ali to lose to The Miz on Raw, but that was changed before Raw went live. Even before plans were made for Ali to wrestle, he was meant to be at Raw no matter what, as he was scheduled to meet with Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis to discuss his future. It's also noted that given his 6-month absence from WWE, the company does have the option to freeze his contract and tack on those 6 months to the end of his current deal, which expires in mid-2024, but there's been no indicator by WWE that they'll do this. On Raw, The Miz even referenced Ali asking for his release, but it said that the Cruiserweight was more than comfortable with this, and that several people on the roster and staff were happy to see him back. Ali is clearly well-liked backstage and is seemingly back for good after requesting his release in January, but whether this change of heart is worth it in the long run remains to be seen. Over to Impact, as Deonna Purrazzo is one of the company's mainstays and has a loyal legion of fans, but there are some who take things way too far. On Twitter this week, the Virtuosa shared an important message and revealed how a fan had sent mail to her personal home address. Purrazzo said how there are proper channels if someone wants to send her something to autograph, and that sending to her personal address is a complete invasion of privacy, and the item will go in the trash. When a fan decided to talk trash themselves, saying how they wouldn't want to get Purrazzo's autograph or send her anything, the Impact star fired back, questioning why someone who doesn't like her still follows her on social media. That fan quickly accepted defeat and deleted their tweet, as they'll know better the next time, and hopefully all fans will know not to invade her privacy by sending to her personal address. This week, Randy Orton celebrated the 20th anniversary of his WWE TV debut, and on Raw had special praise for Mick Foley. It was in 2003 and 2004 that Orton feuded with Foley, which helped elevate the Legend Killer to that next level, but there was one part that the Viper wanted no part of. Speaking on Throwing Down with Renee and Misha, Foley spoke about a segment in 2003 where Orton spat in his face, saying, "I had to talk Randy into spitting on me on camera. He didn't want to do it. Then he finally said, 'What if I just pretend like I won't really spit on you?' I said, 'Randy, this is one of the most important moments of your career. You need to dig down as deep into your lungs as you can, and the people need to see that residue.' When it came time to do it, you would have never guessed that he was hesitating on that. He just dug it down deep. He launched that loogie, and it was hanging all over me, and it was awful, but it was exactly what we needed." Orton's wars with Foley, especially their hardcore match at Backlash 2004, helped prove that the young superstar was more than just a pretty face, and as the years have shown, the Legend Killer has gone on to become one of wrestling's biggest ever superstars. Since October 2021, Danhausen has been on the shelf after suffering a broken leg at an NGW event, but now the very evil one is back in the ring. At a Glory Pro Wrestling event earlier this week, Danhausen had his first match in 6 months, teaming with Dan the Dad to defeat Davey Vega and Matt Fitchett. During his recovery, Danhausen signed with AEW and has been an entertaining part of the programming, but fans will hopefully soon see how he can go in the ring. Perhaps Danhausen will share the ring with Jungle Boy, who's been with AEW since the early days of the company and is one half of the reigning AEW World Tag Team Champions. Jurassic Express have successfully defended their titles 6 times now, but there are some people who aren't fans of Jungle Boy. On his drive-thru podcast, Jim Cornette blasted Jungle Boy, saying that he doesn't fire up the crowd at all, and said that while some babyfaces do it too much, Jungle Boy doesn't do it at all. Cornette claimed that Jungle Boy may have already peaked in AEW, but did offer some praise, saying he could be a big deal if he learned how to work. It's hardly the first time Cornette has taken aim at AEW, and no doubt won't be the last, as the controversial wrestling personality continues to make his money taking shots at others. We've got an update in the Tammy Sytch case as the WWE Hall of Famer continues to await the results of a toxicology report. At the time, Sytch was driving to see her boyfriend, James Pente, who is being sued by the family of the victim, in addition to Sytch herself. Defending her boyfriend, Sytch claims that since it was her car, that Pente has no responsibility for what happens, but that isn't the whole truth. According to police records obtained by PW Insider's Mike Johnson, the vehicle Sitch was driving is a 2012 Mercedes, for which James F. Penty is listed as the owner. Given Sitch's history with the law, including a series of DUIs, it would be near impossible for her to own a car, never mind have a valid driver's license. At this time, Ormond Beach police are waiting for a toxicology report to determine if Sitch was intoxicated at the time of the crash, but being caught out lying about this vehicle will do her credibility no favors. Over to Raw, as Omos has been on the red brand for a relatively short amount of time, but has made a literal big impression. Winning the Raw Tag Team titles in his very first match, Omos has been booked strong throughout his run, but his battles before WWE trump anything he's done in the ring. Speaking on the Out of Character podcast, Omos discussed when he had a physical at university in 2012 and was told that he had a tumor in his brain. I walked into the coach's office and there was the president of the university and all the doctors from the office were there. They said, "So this is an MRI right here of your brain. You see that little speck right there? You have a brain tumor." I had the surgery and they had to go through my nose. It was very, very traumatic. But in the process of doing the testing, they found that not only do I have a pituitary tumor, I have partial Cushing's disease, which is very rare. Omos later added that he still has to take medication to deal with this tumor and was open about the potential life-shortening risks that his condition has. At 27 years old, Omos has already accomplished plenty in his life and seems to be a top priority for WWE's booking teams, and he's made it this far after already going through some life-threatening battles. Back to Raw, and since October, Theory has received a major push from the company, even capturing the US title last week. Dethroning Finn Balor, many fans weren't happy to see the young superstar get another win over the beloved veteran, but that's exactly how the fans should be feeling. As Mark Henry claimed on Busted Open, WWE is intentionally trying to anger fans with their booking, and it seems to be working. He said, "You know what? You need to break a few eggs to make an omelet. I think the company is intentionally trying to piss you off, putting the edge on Theory. It is what it is. I didn't look negatively at it at all. You've got to let them piss you off because that's how we've seen it." Theory has already claimed to be a better US champion than John Cena, which is certainly a huge claim from someone now 10 days into his first reign, and while fans may be mad at him as champion, that isn't a bad thing. In January, MLW launched a lawsuit against WWE, claiming that Vince McMahon's promotion had interfered in their business practices by putting pressure on the streaming platform Tubi. It's been reported that WWE made it clear to Fox that owned Tubi that they did not like the idea of MLW getting this deal, and it wasn't long after that Tubi pulled out of what would have been a huge partnership for MLW. That's at least what MLW is claiming, but recently, WWE filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, saying that MLW's claims of WWE having a monopoly over the wrestling world doesn't hold up. As proof, and in a unique move, WWE's legal team praised the success of AEW, who has been able to secure a deal with Warner Media that's close to $50 million, and also noted that Impact Wrestling has also secured a deal of their own. Now MLW has responded, and in a statement published by PW Insider, the company says that legal precedent should convince the judge to continue with the lawsuit. MLW's reasoning is that what they are alleging WWE to have done is no different from a legal sense than any other claimant making an accusation at another company, and that these sorts of matters always end up in court. WWE has until May 6th to respond to MLW's rebuttal, and the two will meet in court in September if no agreement is reached between the two parties. For now, it'll fall on the judge to decide whether MLW's argument has merit, and we'll keep following this story for further updates. And we're ending today with Ronda Rousey, who returned to WWE after a near 3-year absence at this January's Royal Rumble. Winning the Women's Rumble match, Rousey has been prominently featured since then, but has had a unique relationship with the crowd. While some fans still feel that Rousey is taking a spot more deserving of a more permanent member of the roster, the SmackDown superstar has gained a significant fan base. On the Wives of Wrestling podcast, Rousey spoke about her experiences with fans and how what happens on social media doesn't translate to a live audience. "I guess the feedback I get is a live audience. There's a lot of times where what you think is coming online and what the live audience is expressing are two opposite things. Case in point, Royal Rumble. I left as a heel and was getting booed out of every stadium, and I was like, okay, so I assumed everyone thought I was still a heel. and any interviews I gave anytime I was talking shit on the fans, like being in character for in case I come back, and that's what I assumed I would come back to. When it ended up not being that reaction, I was really surprised. At WrestleMania Backlash, Rousey will once again challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship, this time in an I Quit match with Charlotte Flair, and while the Queen is the heel, expect a unique response from fans for the bout. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.